So here's a few just basics about soil. Soil supports the plant roots, and it gives it a place to bring up nutrients and water and things like that. Most roots grow in the upper layer of the soil called topsoil. So this here is called a soil profile. And up here at the top is grass or whatever plants that you might have. Below that is the O horizon, so it's split into horizons. The O horizon is where your topsoil is. And the reason it's the O horizon is it's the organic horizon. So you have lots of more organic materials than any of these other horizons. As you go farther down, this is the A horizon. It still has quite a bit of organic material in it, and you still have quite a bit of the plant roots in it. The plant roots go clear down to the B horizon, and then very far down here is the C horizon. I don't know if you guys can see that past the computer there, but that has more of your bigger rocks, or what's called the parent material. So the parent material is essentially rocks that eventually will make all this topsoil right here. So a good garden soil contains 50% pore space, 45% minerals, and 5% organic matter. So all soils have texture too. And the texture describes the size of a soil's mineral particles. It affects watering and fertilizing schedules, and in some cases it determines your plant selection. So there's different soil particles too, and you know the soil particles as clay, silt, and sand. But this picture here shows the different sizes of those soil particles, and this really helps to describe it. So there's sandy soils. So sandy soils, like I said, have the biggest particles. The size and shape of a sand particle allows for large pore spaces, so bigger spaces for air and water. Contains, like I said, it says contains lots of air and water. Available nutrients in sand is lower, and the reason for that is the particles are so big, it creates big pore spaces, and nutrients and water run right through it. So it's almost the exact opposite problem that people have with clay. So here's the exact opposite, is clay. So like I talked about, clay particles are very, very small, especially compared to sand. They're almost microscopic sometimes. So, and as you can see, it really binds together really easily. And then there's loam soil, and it's considered the ideal garden soil. But I put an asterisk next to that because that's not always true. I would say 99% of plants are going to like the loam soil better than others, but like I said before, there's a few plants that are a little bit different. So like I mentioned before, the penstemon plant, it doesn't really like loam soil. It likes more of the clay soil. So that's not really ideal for that plant. So that's kind of why I put the asterisk next to that. But loam is what you should be shooting for in your garden soil. So soil pH is a measure of how soil ranges from acidic to neutral to alkaline. And it's stated as a pH number. It can make certain nutrients unavailable. So 7, here's the pH scale. 7 is considered neutral. Anything above that is alkaline, and anything below that is acidic. 99% of the soil here in Utah is alkaline. You find acidic soil more in the southern part of the United States. And then here it says can make certain nutrients unavailable. What that means is with our alkaline soil here in Utah, what it does is it makes things like iron unavailable to plants, to certain plants. Okay, so a little bit on to composting. So it's a natural process that converts organic material into valuable soil conditioner. And then there's two main types of composting. There's cold composting and then there's hot composting. This is cold composting here. So it's essentially just a pile of leaves, branches, and grass clippings that you have here, and eventually that'll break down. It takes a long time to break down, but eventually you can add that to your soil and it'll help break up the clay soil and help to improve it that way. Then there's hot composting, which is leaves, branches, grass, fruit and veggie scraps, and manure. And air and water are added. You don't want to add a ton of water, just enough to keep things moist. It helps things break down faster. The air is added just by flipping the compost pile every once in a while. But as you can see, even in this picture, it's steaming off of there. It gets pretty hot. So more composting basics. You want 2 parts brown matter and 1 part green matter in your pile. The green matter is grass clippings from your lawn, fruits and vegetables, coffee grounds, eggshells, and manure. I know that eggshells are really good if you're growing tomatoes. Tomatoes love the eggshells. As far as the grass clippings go, I wouldn't add grass clippings to your composting pile if you just sprayed it with a pesticide, like 2,4-D or Roundup or something like that. I wouldn't put anything like that in your composting pile, so bad idea. So then you want to add the 2 parts brown matter. So that's leaves, hay, sawdust, wood chips, branches. Those things usually break down slower than the green matter, but you need all of it to help make a good compost. So you want to turn the pile weekly. That helps to add the air that we talked about. The pile will heat up and add some water to keep the pile moist. Some composting systems. This one's really basic. This is freestanding, so just a pile in the yard. You want it 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet high. And the reason you want that is it allows for the correct temperature and makes sure that everything is consistently moist. If you get the pile bigger than that, then there's dry spots and places that aren't breaking down as well. There's wire cylinders or cages that you can build. This is nice because you can add things to this, and then essentially to turn it, you just can pick it up and flip it, and that's how you turn the pile rather than actually using a shovel or a pitchfork. So that's kind of nice that way. And it helps to keep things where they need to be. 3-bin system. This one's really nice. Essentially what you do with this one is you start with some raw organic material in this one, and then eventually when that breaks down a little bit, you add it to this one, and eventually when that breaks down a little bit, you add it to there. And on the very end, you can have compost that's ready to go, and then on the far end, you can have some stuff that's barely breaking down. So it actually works really well if you do that. So this is the manufactured composters. So this is kind of nice, especially for keeping the smell down. So essentially what this does is you put your materials in here, and then to turn it, all you do is crank that handle and it rotates everything for you. And this one has a door on the bottom that you can open, and it puts out the compost that way rather than having to dig it out from the top. So the ready to use stuff is on the bottom, and the stuff that's not ready to use is on the top. So you can just open the door and the stuff comes out.